Hello, listeners. This video discusses In an Antique Land, a book written by Amitav Ghosh. Amitav Ghosh is an Indian writer. He won the 54th Jnanpith Award in 2018, which is India's highest literary honor. He has written historical fiction and non-fiction works discussing topics such as colonialism and climate change. His notable works include The Shadow Lines, The Glass Palace, Ibis Trilogy, The Great Derangement. He is a recipient of several awards: Jnanpith Award, Sahitya Academy Award, Ananda Purashkar, Dan David Award, Padma Shri, Erasmus Prize. Ghosh uses complex narrative strategies to probe the nature of national and personal identity, particularly the people of India and South Asia. Let us see an overview about the book In an Antique Land. This book is written in first-person narrative by Amitav Ghosh, which recounts Amitav Ghosh's experience in two Egyptian villages. This work attempts to retrace accounts of an unknown Indian slave, as well as a reconstruction of the life of 12th century Jewish merchant. The book also describes a variety of characters, going into great detail regarding their lives and Ghosh interactions with them. The book contains two narratives, as I mentioned. The first is an anthropological narrative, which revolves around two visitors made by Ghosh to two villages in the Nile Delta while he was writing his doctoral dissertation, that was between months of 1980 to 81, and again a few years later in the year 1988. The second narrative presented parallel to the first one in the book. Here, Ghosh reconstructs the history of a 12th century Jewish merchant. His name is Abraham Ben Yiju, and his slaves Ashu and Bomma. So he uses the documents from the Cairo Geniza. Let us see the book more in detail. So this work begins in the small Egyptian village of Latifa in the year 1980, where the then graduate student Amitav Ghosh writes his doctoral thesis and starts his investigation into the lives of 12th century Jewish merchant Abraham Ben Yiju and Ben Yiju's anonymous Indian slave. Later, Amitav Ghosh moved to a large village of Nashi. There he started to detail about numerous people whom he meets within the town, their lives and relationship. Also, he wrote about the people's attempt to convert him to Islam. From Nashi in the year 1981, he moves to Egypt. He spends his life there by owning his Arabic and learning the dialect Ben Yiju uses in his own documents. In the year 1981, he returns to the two villages. So the dialect that Ben Yiju uses is very much similar to the spoken language within the two villages, which is Latifa and Nashi. Ghosh now started to recount the series of events that led to a storehouse of documents belonging to Ben Yiju's synagogue, which is preserved for 7 centuries. After which it was brought to the attention of a wider population. When Ghosh started to study these documents, he refamiliarizes himself with the people whom he met during his first visit. He noted that they have left to other countries in order to find work. He also meets several new people. His research leads Ghosh to believe that Ben Yiju fled to India in order to escape a blood feud, and freeing from there, he married a slave girl named Ashu. He then traveled back to his hometown. Here, Ghosh investigates the unnamed slave once more. Ghosh then investigates another slave of Yiju. His name is assumed to be Bomma, and he acted as an apprentice to Ben Yiju, eventually taking over the merchant's business. We must note that there are 4 different sections in this work, which is Latifa, Nashi, Mangalore, Going Back, and the prologue and the epilogue. So these portions and sections complete the entire circle of the novel. The first two sections, Latifa Nashi, deal with the social and cultural history of Egypt, and the third section, Mangalore, deals with Ben Yiju's stay in England for 17 years. The last section, Going Back, is a summing up of the novelist's search for Ben Yiju's life, and through him, his search for cultural, political, and historical changes. In almost all the four parts, the narrative shifts from personal to historical and from historical to personal. We must note that the story of the Egyptian merchant Ben Yiju and his slave Bomma is intertwined in the narrator's own story of his stay in the two villages of Egypt while doing research on the merchant. We must also note that this book is a non-fiction book. It deals with multidisciplinary aspects and it has the theme of history, post-colonialism, anthropology, autobiographical, cultural studies, and sociology. Ghosh portrays the good relationship between Egypt and India. We shared a great culture. It is only because of colonization we are separated. This work was written during Amitav Ghosh was doing his PhD in Oxford. He travels to Alexandria University in order to fulfill his research. He studied about Ben Yiju, who was born in Kurwan, Tunisia. He moved to Fustat and then he settled in Mangalore, India during the 1130s. He stayed in India for 17 years and then in Yemen for 3 years. His factory made and repaired metal pots, which he exported, and he shipped betel nuts and other products from India. When he is in Mangalore, he lives closely with Bomma, who's a South Indian slave who becomes his trusted agent. Amitav Ghosh reconstructs their world, explores their trade across the Indian Ocean. He also explores cultural coexistence and religious tolerance in the pre-modern world. And in the contemporary narrative by Amitav Ghosh, which was done in 20th century, he chronicles his own interaction with Egyptian villagers during his fieldwork in the year 1980s. He records their views on India, Islam, modernity, colonialism, and their suspicion of his Indian and foreign academic identity. Let us see the key themes of this book: cross-cultural encounters. So this book portrays how people from different religions, regions, and races lived and traded together in the past without restricting borders or divisions. The second theme is rewriting history. Here, Amitav Ghosh questions Western-centric historiography by bringing forgotten or sidelined figures like Bomma and Ben Yiju into focus. The third theme is post-colonial critique. He reflects on how colonial legacies shaped the modern world, including how India and Egypt perceive each other together today. The fourth theme is the role of the anthropologist. Here, Ghosh critiques the traditional colonial gaze in anthropology. The fifth theme is interwoven histories, where the parallel stories of the 12th century trade world and 20th century Egypt suggest a continuity and complexity that defies colonial era historical simplifications. This book follows a unique structure and style. It is not a traditional novel nor a typical academic study. This work uses narrative non-fiction techniques like humor, dialogue, vivid characters. And this work is a non-linear book. It switches between time periods and voices. This book also blurs genres like it has memoir, history, ethnography, and fiction-like storytelling. Thank you for your patient listening. If you have any suggestion, please write them down. Thank you.